Ladies and gentlemen, you know why we're here. We're here to talk about this college football scoreboard, the bowl mania. We're in the middle of all of these great bowls. It's hard to keep up. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Because you sit here and miss a day, and all of a sudden you're like, what? 4 or 5 bowls just happened? Like, what happened?
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah. So we're gonna try to just keep with this week, starting with Monday. You had the Quick Lane Bowl with New Mexico State versus Bowling Green. Both of these teams barely got in here. Both were at 6-6. But it was a fairly good game. Pretty one-sided for a little bit, and then New Mexico State had a good lead, and then Bowling Green started coming back.
Yeah, it was all New Mexico State in that first half. I mean, Bowling Green was moving the ball, but you had those 2 missed field goals. Bowling Green had that kick return on kind of that almost short kick. The returner, amazing patience, kind of let all those blocks set up, catching it from the 25. It's kind of a difficult return, but weaved his way through and got that touchdown. Yeah. You had blocked punts, you had safeties, you had Bowling Green trying to climb their way back in with 6 minutes left, but just didn't have enough. If they had another 5 minutes, then maybe, but you don't get that. So New Mexico State holds on to a close one here.
And look, New Mexico State, and shout out to him. I like their quarterback, this guy Diego Pavia. He reminds me of like a Doug Flutie, just a little small guy scrambling out and just running for his life. Or if you ever played a video game and you had like a quarterback with like really high speed attributes, all you did was just run with him. He was just running all over the place. And some of those passes, he was making the play, getting it wide open. It was good to see him kind of play. It made it fun. It made it interesting. But to your point, Bowling Green, it didn't look good early. Obviously got down 17-0 by the early third quarter. You had that kick return touchdown like you were talking about where he set up all the blocks, but still then you had a run by Watkins getting a 45-yard run. But Bowling Green stayed in there. They had they fumbled a couple times. They were able to get that, but they were also able to block the punt that was huge late in there, trying to bring them back in the game. Shout out to them because, yes, they came short, but they never quit. They never died. That's why I think these bowl games are huge, because these guys want to play. They want to get out here and get into this action.
Well, and for a lot of these guys, it's a celebration of the year they've had. Yeah. So whether you're a senior and you're playing your last game, or you're one of these guys, say a freshman trying to fight for a spot next year, this is kind of the culmination of everything you've been through this year. So a lot of these guys want to show up and just go out with a bang.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I hope some of these people are watching. Cat saying, not sure about that Michigan hat. Just saying.
We're in the playoff.
Wow. Sorry, baby. I know I'm first in your heart. Yes, ma'am. And one of our old hosts who will be back on here, we're going to try to get her on here for when we preview this Michigan game, Kate Alverson. What's going on, Kate? Glad you can join. But let's go ahead and move down the list. Going to the Camellia Bowl, Buffalo just survives Georgia Southern. Talk to me about this one, man. This was a good game.
Yeah, and it was, back and forth. Like, you had Georgia Southern, Buffalo, Georgia Southern, Buffalo, Georgia Southern, Buffalo. Like, it was back and forth for a long time, whether it was field goals or touchdowns. It was just score after score after score.
Yeah.
I kind of expected Georgia Southern to win this game. To me, that was the better of the two teams. But Buffalo kind of late third into the fourth quarter kind of had their run, and it was a little too much for Georgia Southern.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, Georgia Southern had their quarterback Van Treese, who actually was a former Buffalo quarterback. And look, early they got stopped in the red zone a couple of times. He was able to kind of try to bring them back late, but it was some of those early mistakes that were leading to those late field goals. Like you were saying, it was 1 point 14-14. And then you had a fumble recovered by Buffalo that led to a field goal. You had an interception thrown by Van Treese that was led to a field goal, Yeah. And to his credit, he tried to come back. But shout out to Buffalo, man. That two out of the last 3 years, they've gotten the victory in a bowl game. And that program is definitely on the upswing,
Yeah, and you've had solid players, like a lot of people might forget, but Jarrett Patterson, a guy that went to you guys, had that phenomenal season at running back. Like, you've got some good quality players that are going to Buffalo now because of the success you're having. So if you're a fan of Buffalo, I hope they keep it up because it's building in the right direction for them. Absolutely.
Oh yeah. I mean, we can go always back to Khalil Mack.
Yeah.
You know? He was over there, and he definitely put them on the map, man. So, shout out to them. They definitely got the dub. Both these guys were 6-6, but they were able to make those strides. Oh, yeah. Kate said, I love when those MAC schools win. Absolutely.
Well, and that's one huge thing about bowl season, too, is you don't necessarily – a lot of these – people, when you watch college football, you kind of focus to your team or even say your conference. Yes. When you get to these bowl games, and especially over the holidays when you're at home, there's a lot of TV to watch, that kind of stuff. You can see all these, the MAC, the Sun Belt, like the American, the AAC, like all of these, you get these other conferences that you don't get to see too much, and you see them on national television. It's huge for these schools.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And honestly, that's my favorite watching. Like I love watching my team, don't get it twisted. But I get very uptight and rigid and come on, guy. You know what I mean? In myself. When I can watch one of these games with this, they're all over the place, double reverse, the flea flicker, all these things. I love that. And also because I don't have to worry about it. Like I don't have to stress.
You can just sit back and enjoy.
Exactly. So these games definitely do that. One of these teams that actually is pretty high powered, and it showed in this game, the first responder bowl, Memphis. Yeah, they put in that work. They whooped up on Utah State. Hennigan 5 times. Like Hennigan was dominating, or three TDs. But then you had Ducker getting a couple rushing touchdowns late in the game. Memphis just was walked all over Utah State, man. What are you thinking?
Yeah, and it was impressive because they did it kind of however they wanted to. You started off with, in the beginning, it was the rollout passes, the jet sweeps, the kind of lateral pass where he could throw or he could run.
Right.
But you use that run to set up the pass. All 3 first half touchdowns were set up by passes. I know the third one was kind of an RPO. The quarterback was looking to take off and kind of dumped it last second. But it was that threat of the run where Utah State had to crowd the box, and then you could just air it out. And shout out to those receivers for beating Utah State's corners and doing it early and often. But then Utah State, in the second half their starting quarterback went down. And the backup, I can't think of his name right now, came in and kind of started to get them in a bit of a rhythm. They started moving the ball pretty quickly once he got in.
Backup was it
Davenport,
Bishop Davenport. Yeah, went 7 of 9 for 100 yards and a touchdown and interception. But yeah, look, he did what he could. By that point, it was just too much. Yeah, you know what I mean. It couldn't do anything. But shout out to him, man. You talk about Hennigan with over 280 yards. You had Javion Ducker had those 2 touchdowns, and this. Yeah. Memphis is one of those teams that we were looking at one point in the season, kind of saying, okay, they can do something. A couple late losses, and they're in this type of bowl. But I think they're a lot better than their record.
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't agree more with that, and I think they showed it in this game. We had similar records, and they just went in and manhandled them.
Oh yeah, because when I look at Utah State, I'm looking more of a New Mexico State. I'm looking more in that direction. But Memphis is one of those that's definitely on the rise. Shout out Antonio Gibson. We picked him up, and he was a receiver / kick returner, and we're kind of utilizing that stuff here in Washington. So, I can't think what his name is, but the guy, he's a wide receiver, Calvin Austin for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah,
another guy that came out of here. So shout it out. Did West Virginia get into a bowl? I don't think so.
No, they did not. I think they only won 4 or 5 games. It wasn't quite enough to get in. But
they struggled late. Sorry, Kat. Sorry about that. Moving right along to another high-powered offense. Look, we talked about a lot of quarterbacks this year, but there's one person I don't think we've mentioned that much, and he needs a lot of attention. And it started off that first game of the year. Holton Ahlers of Eastern Carolina. We touted NC State in that first game. Holton Ahlers came in there and proved his point. If it wasn't for a missed extra point and a missed field goal, they win that game. That early in the year. He's always been that type of guy, and this was a coronation. This was him kind of Supermaning on the whole damn thing. 5 TD passes. What did you think about this one, man?
Matt, my only thought watching the highlights of this game was, man, Holton Ahlers is that dude. Like,
yes, sir.
Coastal Carolina has been a good team all year.
Right.
And you go in and put that kind of performance up, like almost half as many touchdowns as incompletions on the game.
Right.
Like, that's absolutely insane. And yeah, I don't know whether he's going to come back for that 6th season or not with that COVID year. I haven't heard one way or the other. He's got till the 16th of January to decide. But yeah, if this is how he goes out, it was a hell of a way to go.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's a Jordan in the 6th game with the pose kind of thing. I mean, look, he really did his thing, and and we have to shout him out for sure. But he has a running back, ladies and gentlemen, that I don't know if you guys have heard of. This guy's name is Keaton Mitchell. Over 1,300 yards, man. He reminds you of a guy that passed the 2,000-yard mark in the NFL that played for the Tennessee Titans named Chris Johnson.
Yeah. Who also played in Carolina.
Exactly. Eerily similar. This guy is great in the run game, but he's also great in the pass game, man. He can catch balls out of the backfield. And I mean, I'm going to tell you, man, this guy he's an elite talent that sometimes you might not be able to see because he is in East Carolina. This guy can ball out, man.
Yeah, and it's going to be exciting because he's only a sophomore, which means he's coming back next year.
Absolutely.
So especially if Holton Ahlers is gone, this is somebody you can absolutely rely on to run that offense. Like almost 1,500 yards and 14 touchdowns in that heavy of a passing offense.
Right.
That's special. Yeah. This dude can ball for sure.
Yeah. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what he does, especially next year. And hopefully Holton Ahlers will stay. Speaking, though, of quarterbacks and potentially leaving, we know that their quarterback on the other side, Coastal Carolina, we've been talking about him all year, Grayson McCall, he's transferring. But he played in this game, and it was kind of questionable. I mean, he did pretty solid. He kept them in the game early, but then on a touchdown run, he kind of did a front flip and didn't fully clear it. Fell kind of awkwardly. They took him out of the game for the remainder of the game. Obviously, the score is what it is, but let me ask you first. We know he's transferring. We know he's already has aspirations to play elsewhere. Is that a smart move to play? I mean, I know you want to play with your guys, but
it's one of those things where you can't tell if it's a good decision or not until you get in there and play it.
Right.
Because if he goes and balls out, then it looks amazing because he has a great game against a good team who's also performing very well. But then if you go out and, for example, like this one, you get hurt, or if you come out and you don't play your best game, this is what teams are going to see most recently when they're trying to recruit you.
Yep.
And the other issue for me with all this, the transferring and then he's staying and playing, a lot of these schools are filling their roster spots already.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a lot of teams that have that QB1 set up for next year already.
Right.
So you're kind of running out of options if you're Grayson McCall, especially if you're trying to go to one of these top tier programs.
Right. Absolutely. So, hey, we'll see if that was a good move. Shout out to Reese White, who had 11 carries for 57 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah.
Braden Bennett had 29 yards on the ground, trying to get into some action. At the end of the day, it was too little, too late. Yeah. Eastern Carolina was really putting in that work, and they got it done. So shout out to them. They got the victory. And one more that we saw late last night, Wisconsin with their new coach Luke Fickell came in there and got the victory over Oklahoma State. Man, hey, Wisconsin, we know the struggles they've had this year. This is one of those things. One of the themes we had towards the middle of the year: get right. This is one of those things that can get right, help a program to get right. You know what I mean? Having this kind of ball against a credible Oklahoma State team, man. What are your thoughts, man? Big Ten getting that dub.
Yeah, nice to start it off 1-0 for the conference. Good job, Wisconsin, on doing that. This was an interesting one because, I mean, you look at our college football group chat last night where it was like, man, why are we watching this as two backup quarterbacks?
Right.
It's like, well, these guys are both kind of fighting for the starting job because both their quarterbacks are gone. Exactly. So it's new coach, new quarterbacks, a lot of integral pieces that are kind of up in the air right now for Wisconsin. We don't know if Braylon Allen is coming back. He could still transfer. He could, like, there's still that question mark there. Like, it's a big deal for Wisconsin to get this win here, because that sets the tone for next year under Luke Fickell, because he came here while he didn't necessarily call plays or call most of the shots. He was still there. He's still your head guy. And to start it off 1-0 in a big-time bowl game like that, that only does wonders for that program.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, look, you talked about the backup quarterbacks, Chase Wolf having 116 yards, but I mean, 16 of 26, getting the touchdown, getting the interception, getting in there, that was good. But like you mentioned, 22 carries going to Braylon Allen. That's one of the things that I thought Luke Fickell was really going to try to focus on, letting Braylon Allen know, if you stay here, we're going to run with you. You know what I mean? So I love that he gave him that many carries in this type of game, and it opened everything else up. You got tight ends scoring touchdowns, and even who's the backup? Chez Malusi?
Yeah.
That guy's pretty sweet, man. I didn't know about him prior to watching this game, and he was getting it done, 77 yards and a touchdown, man. What do you think? Have you seen this guy before?
Yeah, well, and that's the reason why Braylon Allen didn't get as many carries this year as before, is because you had that guy in Chez Malusi that is a very good backup. Yeah. So it was kind of interesting to see, because Braylon, like we said, had the majority of the carries this game. But Chez Malusi still gets that touchdown, still has almost 100 yards, performs very well. And it kind of reminds me of back a few years ago when they had like Monte Ball, Melvin Gordon, like that kind of stable of running backs where it's just like NFL guy after NFL guy after NFL guy. That's kind of what it feels like with these guys right now.
And I like that. And I think you bringing Luke Fickell in here, bringing back that running mentality, that bringing and look, adopting something that they do in the NFL with the 2-back system. Oh, that could be amazing, man. So if
I'm definitely worried as a Big Ten guy.
I was about to say, if this is any indication what we're going to see in 2023, watch out, Big Ten, because Wisconsin is coming. Wisconsin is coming. I still do think, and I like what we saw at quarterback, but I still do think, let's see what happens in the offseason. Let's see what happens transfer portal and everything, because Chase Wolf was nice. This was nice for today, but we'll see what happens. But Wisconsin doesn't pass like that.
This is one where I'm sitting here and just like, please don't look this way, Grayson McCall. Like, go somewhere else. Go somewhere else.
Right. And that's crazy. Ladies and gentlemen, Saturday, we will talk about all of these transfer portal guys, all these quarterbacks that are still out there. There's so many that are still on the market. There's so many that are getting offered big things. I think Drake May is playing right now. They were saying that he got offered by two different schools, like $5 million. And I'm like, ooh, man. I mean, loyalty is one thing, but money, craziness.
Thanks for watching. If you like that clip, be sure to check out the other great content from the Let's Talk Football community. And as always, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you'll be notified when more great content like this becomes available.